Welcome. Joining us now on Al Arabiya is UK Trade Minister Chris Bryant, visiting Saudi Arabia. Your Excellency, welcome to Saudi Arabia, and it's an honor to have you here with us today.
It's an honor to be in Riyadh. It's my very first time.
Welcome. So let's start with the big picture. How would you describe the current state of trade relations between the United Kingdom and Saudi Arabia?
It's a very strong relationship. I mean, it's a relationship between people in the end, but we have a very strong trade in goods and in services. It could be stronger. It rose to 17 billion pounds of trade between our two countries last year, which is up 2% on the year before. And as part of the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council, which is now standing at 57 billion pounds a year, it's a very significant chunk of that deal. So it's strong, but could be stronger.
It is strong. Where do you see the biggest opportunities right now, Your Excellency? Which sectors hold the greatest potential for expanding trade and investment between our two countries?
So trade and investment, these are two different things in a way. And there's roughly 101 billion pounds of Saudi investment in the UK in all sorts of different sectors. That's very strong. We also have investments in Saudi Arabia. Last year, our Chancellor of the Exchequer was here, and she was able to launch £5 billion worth of investment from the UK Export Finance Fund, which is part of our government investment here in Saudi Arabia. We have 8 key industrial sectors where we think that we are particularly strong, and we want to build our trade with Saudi Arabia. So starting with clean energies, with advanced manufacturing, with the creative industries, and of course we are very good at finance. That's one of the things that we sometimes leverage into Saudi Arabia as well. So financial services, one of the areas that we want to build on.
Yeah. So Your Excellency, you are in the kingdom at a critical time. What message does this visit send about the UK's government's commitment to strengthening its economic partnership with Saudi Arabia?
We are very keen to build on our relationship. I'm not the only person coming from the governments in the UK over the next few months here to Saudi Arabia. We've had several ministers in the past few months, and there will be more coming on later this year. I've been quite directly engaged with Minister, His Excellency Dr. Majid Al-Kasabi, for some time, because we've been looking at our Great Futures campaign, which we had our second round in September in London. We're looking to another round of that later on this year, trying to expand trade. But it's not just a trade relationship, it's also a defence and security relationship. We want to build on the international number of international tourists that come from the UK to Saudi Arabia and Saudi Arabia to the UK. We've seen large numbers of young Saudi Arabians coming to the UK to train in hospitality services and to come back and work here in the growing tourism industry. Yeah.
So let's talk numbers. Your Excellency, how many British companies are currently operating in Saudi Arabia, and how many Saudi companies are working today in the UK?
I wish I could give you precise numbers.
Yeah, approximately.
But, so if we're talking just about services, trade in goods, so that's things, there's about 7,000 businesses, UK businesses, who are registered as doing bringing goods to Saudi Arabia, and there's about 1,000 businesses bringing goods from Saudi Arabia into the UK. But then there's a whole load of other businesses as well who are engaged in services work here in Saudi Arabia. And I haven't got those statistics. I wish I had. One of the things that I think we need to be much better at is understanding precisely the relationship between our two countries, because sometimes there are misconceptions in the UK about Saudi Arabia and misconceptions in Saudi Arabia about the UK.
Your Excellency, during your meetings here, are there specific agreements or areas of cooperation currently under discussion?
So we have a strategic partnership which is chaired by the Prime Minister and His Royal Highness, and we are wanting to expand that in lots of different areas, and I'm aware of the 80 different projects that the Kingdom here has that they're advancing. In nearly all of those, UK businesses or UK people are engaged, whether it's the creative industries, tourism, manufacturing, so many different areas where we're engaged, or for that matter, even airlines. So we want to expand that. But I'm here specifically because one of the things we've been trying to get over the line for some time is a trade deal, a free trade agreement between the UK, one of the G7 countries, and the Gulf Cooperation Council. It's not easy. 6 different members, obviously, of the GCC, but I'm very keen that we try to get to that position as soon as possible.
That's my question, Your Excellency.
I thought it might be.
Yeah. So, as you said, one major focus right now is the GCC UK Free Trade Agreement. My question for Your Excellency is, where do negotiations stand right now, and which key files are still on the table?
Well, even at this moment, more negotiating is happening. I wish I could tell you exactly where we're at. Before Christmas, I was thinking we were 95% done. Maybe we're 97.5% done. Maybe there's a couple of tiny things to be done. The thing is, with all negotiations, it's not done till it's all done. So you have no deal until you have the whole deal. So we're very, very close. And this would be important, I think, internationally. As I say, G7 country, one of the biggest economies in the world, the GCC, one of the growing areas of economic opportunity in the world, and wanting to diversify its economy in many different ways. We think that that is a really strong partnership. And if we could get that deal over the line, I don't know, in the next few days or weeks.
Hopefully,
Yes, hopefully. I think that would send a message to the rest of the world that, you know what, both the GCC and the UK, we believe in the rules-based order when it comes to world trade.
Yeah, we do.
And these are the kind of deals that we can do.
So could you please tell us more about the main, maybe, like, let's say, sticking points that may delay that deal?
Well, I'm very reluctant to let you in. I'm not going to lift the veil to show you what's going on in every detail of the negotiations, because the GCC has some asks, we have some asks, and we are going like this at the moment. And I hope at some point we'll be able to go like that.
We hope that it will, inshallah. So
definitely, inshallah.
As you said, is there, let's say, if there is a realistic timeline, you hope that the deal is finally will be like done, like specifically, can you give us maybe
soon?
I wish, like, very soon.
When politicians say soon, sometimes it doesn't mean anything, I know. And I had hoped that we would have got this done by Christmas. I have very cordial relations with both my counterparts here in Saudi, but I was also in Qatar yesterday, and I hope that we might manage to get to a place when we can do this very, very soon. Very soon,
we're optimistic. So, Your Excellency, how much do regional and global geopolitical developments may shape these talks for the free trade agreement?
So trade, in one sense, stands on its own. You know, I've got milk, you've got eggs, somebody else has got flour, and if the 3 of us trade together, we can all make pancakes. So you would hope that whatever happens in the world, you can still continue to trade. But I noticed that some of the shocks in the world over the last, 2 years, 3 years, have provided real problems for everybody. So the war in Ukraine, Putin's illegal invasion of Ukraine has had an effect on energy prices in many parts of the world, and the access to bread and to corn and so on. That's for many parts of Eastern Africa as well as the rest of the world. So that can be important. And obviously the situation in Gaza and in Israel has disturbed lots of people's understanding of how we can achieve peace and stability across the region. Peace and stability is always good for trade. But I'm the trade minister, I'm not the peace minister.
So in the meantime, Your Excellency, before a GCC-wide deal is reached, is a bilateral trade between Saudi Arabia and the United Kingdom an option?
I don't want to do a separate deal. But I want to crack on with trade with Saudi Arabia. I mean, focus, and in fact, some of the things that we've already been discussing today and over the last few months around the World Expo that's coming, or the World Cup that is coming here, and whether there are elements that the British businesses can bring to that, because we have some expertise in that area. All of these issues are progressing every single day, and some of those don't depend on a trade deal. It's not just about tariffs, it's about the willingness of businesses to work together and two governments to work together. And that's why, as I say, it's so important that we have this strategic partnership chaired by His Royal Highness and by our Prime Minister. And we're determined to push that forwards, as well as our Great Futures campaign, which looks at specific sectors in the economy.
Yeah. At a time of global economic and geopolitical uncertainty, Your Excellency, how can the UK and Saudi Arabia work together to strengthen supply chains and support global trade stability?
So in a few weeks' time, we will have the World Trade Organization big ministerial meeting in Cameroon.
Yeah.
And I think the whole of the Gulf, and in particular Saudi Arabia, has an important role to play in that because, as I was saying to my counterpart earlier today, we believe in the rules-based order. We believe that you can't just have chaos. It doesn't work for anybody. And in fact, if you lost the World Trade Organization, or if it sort of fell into disrepute and into disrepair for the future, the danger is that that would affect many countries such as ours in a way that would undermine our future prosperity. So we need to do that. We also need to make sure that in relation to critical minerals, for instance, that there are supply chains that enable the diversification of the economy here in Saudi Arabia, as well as in the UK. Just one tiny issue, the access to lithium around the world for electric vehicles is a really important part of enabling green technologies, which is one of the areas where Saudi Arabia and the UK, I think, have an opportunity to build more work.
Your Excellency, building on that, so why don't we just warm up our talk with a message from you to Saudi and British investors on our future together, our trade future together?
So there are so many ways in which we have been we've been such long-standing partners. There are so many aspects of the world that we see in a very similar way, even though we might have lots of cultural differences about the way we approach work and so on. But the fundamental truth is that the relationship between Saudi Arabia and the United Kingdom is based on trust.
That's right.
Long-standing trust. I know our king, for instance, has been to Saudi Arabia many, many times, has many friends here. And of course, many Saudis have friends and relatives who studied in the United Kingdom and have done so and come back to Saudi Arabia and been able to found businesses or progress in their careers because of the experience that they had training in our system. And of course, we both have legal systems that we know that we can trust.
Thank you so much, Rixie, for your time. It's an honor to have you here with us today.
Do you mind if I just say one other thing?
Yeah, sure.
So I think sometimes if you just look at social media, you might get a terribly wrong impression about the United Kingdom. The truth is that crime has fallen in recent years in the UK. London now has the lowest murder rate it's had for 5 decades. People are safe in London, and we recently, the Metropolitan Police recently had a big campaign against mobile phone theft, and they've managed to seize a big gang. And I just look at some of the social media, and you would think the UK and London are troubled. We're not. We're a very stable, safe country. And I know that Saudis often worry about the false impression of Saudi Arabia that is given in other countries as well. And so I would just say to people, you're safe in the United Kingdom, your investment is safe in the United Kingdom, business is safe, we are open for business.
Thank you so much. We do love your country, and Saudi Arabia has a great relation with your country. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.